In this video we are going to explore the most rural parts of the unrecognized Republic of Transnistria that no one before has ever shown on YouTube. We are going to go as deep as possible into the country that is legally part of Moldova, but that is, de facto, being independent with support from Russia since 1992. We are going to navigate around villages and streets that no foreigner has walked in many years, and we're going to meet the incredibly nice people of this separatist country, giving a voice to the babushkas and dedushkas that we in the West tend to hear very little about, due to the linguistic and mediatic barrier.
А есть безалкогольное?
Хотите безалкогольное пиво?
Да.
So sit back, relax and enjoy as we embark on a mission to visit a very specific building of the second largest city of Transnistria. Good morning guys, so we were in Bender a few days ago, if you remember, the second largest city of the unrecognized Republic of Transnistria in Russian and Transnistria in Romanian. And we have visited a few sites in Bender, we've seen a couple of Lenins, we've seen a couple of commie blocks, but it wasn't until I came here to Tiraspol, the capital of the unrecognized Republic of Transnistria, that I realized that I missed out on the top one landmark according to TripAdvisor of the town of Bender. I missed out on the bus station of the town, which, according to some guides that I could find on the internet, apparently it's the best example of top-notch Soviet architecture, which means that this is just the most ideal day to go on a journey back to Bender and go on a mission to the Bender bus station. Whoa. What happens very often is that it's not the destination that matters, but more so the journey. And that was going to be my main motto for the entire day. I did not want to go to Bender directly, but rather what I wanted to do was stop in some of these small rural villages that are found in Transnistria between Bender and Tiraspol. My first stop was actually going to be the very first village that I could find across the river from Tiraspol, whose name was Kitskane. This would have actually given me a higher chance of interacting with the real locals of Transnistria. And we started off pretty well, considering that already in Tiraspol I was approached by an inebriated gentleman by the shore of the river.
Офигительная страна.
Офигительная страна Приднестровья. Вам нравится?
Республика вообще называется.
Республика, да. Но здесь круто,
страна,
да?
республика.
Но какая разница между республикой и страной?
Страна большая, республика.
А Приднестровье маленькая, да? Наверное, но я хочу автовокзал сейчас сегодня посмотреть.
Да поехали.
Мне надо, во-первых, в Kitskane, первый поселок. Kitskane, да.
So this gentleman right here has just gave me some advice on how to get to the other side of the river. Apparently there's a bridge there and I'm just supposed to cross
давай
it.
тогда сделаем прикол.
Что?
Короче, ты со мной идешь на хлебзавод,
Окей.
окей?
Можно пешком?
Да здесь, блин, если ты ходишь пешком, и я хожу пешком.
Хлебзавод, да, это где производят хлеб, да?
Хлеб.
И это где вы работаете?
Да.
О, хорошо.
Подожди. О, бля, мы с тобой не познакомились. Как тебя зовут?
Давиде.
Давид?
Можно Давид?
Давид?
Да. А вас как зовут?
Олег.
Олег. Очень приятно.
So I just met this random guy who has offered to take me to the bread factory where he said that he works every day. So he basically wants to show me where he works at, and I was like, yeah, okay, why not? Sounds fun.
А куда мы? Мы 30 минут ходим, идем.
Нормально.
Нормально? А еще 30 минут ходить? Не, я совсем не думаю, что Тирасполь маленький, но я думаю, что...
Кишинев ходил?
Но Тирасполь маленький, чем Кишинев, наверное.
Кай, я работал в Кишиневе, я работал в Питере. Я работал
В Питере?
Что?
Красивый город там.
Не надо.
Красивый город Питер.
Замечательный.
Замечательный.
Этот город.
Oh, I swear, this guy is taking me through the back roads, through the back streets of Tiraspol. We've been walking for like 30 minutes and we still have no idea where we're going. I have no idea where I am, but I've got full trust on this guy.
А сколько еще осталось? Не, ну чуть-чуть, мы уже 30 минут ходим, идем.
Что у тебя еще это? Время идет.
I was honestly really happy to have had a chance to make a new friend in Tiraspol. However, after a while I realized that this guy wasn't really taking me anywhere. I told him that I had plans for the day, but the guy was really adamant in insisting in wanting to show me around the suburbs of Tiraspol. And at one point, I even tried getting into a shop in hope to lose him, but he still followed me inside.
А маленькая есть?
Есть и
Маленькая, маленькая.
Да, давайте.
Пол-литра. Дайте мне один пломбир, пожалуйста.
Что хотите, мороженое?
мороженое
Нет, ты
хочешь?
Елизавета.
Alright, so I started entering into a shop just to see if I could run away from this guy, but this guy came into the shop as well. He bought himself some ice cream, so I'm now sitting here on a bench on the outskirts of Tiraspol. I have no idea what to do with this guy.
Я просто хочу
Одно единственное.
маршрутку или такси до
ты не понял.
другого места.
Подожди, я тебе сказал, что мы доедем. А что ты там в Кисканах будешь?
Там Ленин. Там Ленин стоит.
В Кисканах?
Да. Что, там Ленина нету? Как может быть?
So in the end, I had to do one thing, which was sort of my last resort, but that I'm not really proud of. Although, truth be told, there really wasn't any other way that I could escape from this guy. So I've convinced him to get into a cafe, and after I let the guy take a few steps towards the door, I just turned around and I just bolted like there was no freaking tomorrow. Oh my god, this video did not take off to a good start. It took me like half an hour to free myself from that random guy over there, and I'm still looking over my shoulder because I wouldn't want to bump into him again. But pretty much what I need to do now is see if I can get myself a taxi to cross the river Dniester and make my way onwards to Bender. Oh my god.
Здравствуйте, вы такси?
Да.
Свободные?
Нет, туриста, да?
Да, мы хотим... А где я могу найти такси?
Такси?
Такси.
Там ездил.
По главной улице?
Да, да.
Хорошо.
Откуда сам?
Италии.
Италия.
Да.
Oh my god, after all of this, I'm basically back to where I started from. So it was literally there that I met the drunk guy, and oh my god, we walked all the way to the outer city limits of the place. I came back all the way here, and while coming back I was keeping an eye out to see if I could find a taxi or something, and I didn't see a single taxi. Oh my god. So we've got the bridge on the Dniester river here, and I'm actually thinking that the first village on the other side of the river is not that far off. So I was thinking that I can actually cross the river on foot and then walk all the way to the next village.
Не подскажете, до Китсканов пешком дорого? 3 часа. 3 часа? О боже. Можно на маршрутке тогда.
Alright, so apparently I was wrong. Actually, the next village is 3 hours away on foot. And I'm definitely not going to walk 3 hours in this cold. Definitely not. So I'm waiting for the bus here.
Это уже мой автобус? Окей, окей.
Какой автобус?
Да, хорошо. А кому помощь надо?
Мне, пожалуйста.
Да.
Тут впереди прямо поставь вместе
Да,
с
вы
тачкой.
просто Да, я рад помочь. Отсюда?
Да, с ним.
Окей.
Upsala.
Ой, спасибо.
О, не за что. Спасибо вам большое.
Da dove siete?
Ah?
Da dove sei?
Oh, italiano. Oh, parla italiano.
It's kind of funny because I'm in a bus full of older Soviet women. I can't say the name in Russian because otherwise people would understand what I'm saying. There's also a lady speaking Italian, so I've actually got to watch out on what I say.
Qua? Okay. Okay, можно
Одну минуту, пожалуйста. Подождите.
Grazie mille. Опс, спасибо вам большое. Опс. До свидания всем.
Righty, so I am now in the middle of absolute nowhere. Well, not really, I'm just 10 kilometers from Tiraspol. I was just sitting on the bus when the Italian-speaking babushka just told me, hey, if this is your stop, if you want to get off at the first village, this is where you need to get off. This place is called Kitskane. This is a village that is called Kitskane. And if you're wondering what is there to see in Kitskane, I have absolutely no freaking clue what is there to see in Kitskane.
Не подскажете, у вас монастырь? Должно быть. Монастырь
Монастырь, так что?
есть у вас?
Да, вот.
Да, как?
Вот сейчас завернешь и идешь прямо,
Ага,
потом на низ
окей.
и увидишь там.
Окей, замечательно, хорошо.
Да.
Спасибо вам большое.
А ты как, чужой, да?
Я из Италии.
А.
Да, приехал в Приднестровье посмотреть. Сказали, что здесь есть монастырь. Это
Ты понял,
Kitskane.
как я сказал?
Да, лево
Да.
и, я вижу, прямо вниз.
Потом вниз туда.
Окей, найду.
Найдешь. Если еще там остановку спросишь, тебе точно
Да,
объяснят.
вы очень милый.
Всё,
Спасибо вам
давай,
большое.
давай,
До свидания.
Wow, this guy from Kitskane, this Kitskanian, was literally the nicest guy I've ever met. He gave me directions to the monastery of the village. However, if I have to be completely honest, I'm not really into monasteries and churches and stuff like that. I mean, I did go to this place and all, but I didn't spend too much time hanging around there. Instead, I decided to go to a place that I would definitely find a lot more exotic and definitely a lot more interesting. Between 1991 and 1992, the battle for the independence of Transnistria was raging in the main populated centers of the republic, Tiraspol, Bender, Ribnica. However, that is not to say that fighting did not reach even smaller villages like this place, Kitskane. And I'm gonna show you one cool thing. Look, this is the House of Culture, the cultural center of every single populated center in the USSR. And this one is still standing and is still working even nowadays in Kitskane. And in front of it, you've got a head of a certain guy. This guy is obviously Vladimir Lenin, and what is interesting of this guy, of this Lenin, is that this Lenin has got bullet holes. So I don't know if you can see all the way up there, but basically there's a hole between Lenin's eyebrows, and there's also a couple of other holes right around the eyebrow on the left side of the bust. And this very Lenin was wounded by the stray bullets that were fired and discharged here in 1992. And this Lenin here just was never repaired. It was never changed or dismantled or whatever, but it was left like this with bullet holes just as memory of what happened here, basically a little over 30 years ago.
Ребята, можно посмотреть Дом культуры?
Там есть охранник.
Можно спросить?
At this point, I did go to speak to the security guard of the House of Culture. But the biggest issue with security guards in this part of the world is that they suffer from a very common condition which allows them to be on a constant power trip. So he didn't even let me go inside. I was asking the security guard if I could go in, and he was saying that they're doing a remont. They're renovating the place. Pridnistrovia is booming, it's developing. But unfortunately for me, that meant that I could not go in. I mean, it could have 100% let me in anyway, but the guy was suffering from the syndrome of the охранник, like security guard syndrome, which is a very common condition in the former Soviet Union. I was going to say here in Russia, but this is not technically Russia. Although in practicality, it basically is Russia. So at this point, the only natural thing for me to do was just to find some babushkas of the village to vent my frustration with. At the end of the day, I could just utilize to my advantage the fact that these babushkas are always very happy and chatty with young, adventurous boys of athletic build.
Дом культуры. Да, я хотел внутри, но там охранник не пускал.
А чего?
Он сказал, что ремонты ходят. А я думаю, я хочу просто пару минут посмотреть. У вас что, домик?
Да.
Домик как
Небольшой.
дача? Ага.
Да, я просто, видишь, калека, я не могу ходить.
Понял.
Не могу, вот. Ну, что вставать еле-еле. Вот, держусь.
О, острый.
Вот, видишь, и потом я. А потом так вот
А кто вас помогает?
до калитки сама.
Окей.
А так, всё, дальше никуда не хожу.
Ага.
У тебя не будет пару рублей. О, спасибо.
Не за что.
Это он.
Поеду в Бендер, потому что сказали, что есть такой автовокзал. Я хочу посмотреть в Бендерах. Рекомендовали, потому что советские здания, советский стиль, архитектура. Вы хотите, что я вам куплю пиво?
Да.
Если хотите, я вам могу купить хлеб или что-то. Алкоголь я не хочу вам купить,
А
понимаете?
есть
меня?
безалкогольное?
Хотите безалкогольное пиво?
Да, безалкогольное.
Хорошо.
Безалкогольное.
а потом найдем такси до Бендеров. Куплю пиво.
Любочка, возьми мне кусочек колбаски. Я голодная, целый день.
Колбаски и
Да.
пиво. Окей, хорошо.
Пожалуйста.
So I got stopped by the babushka on the other side of the road. Man, it's noisy here in the villages of Transnistria, right? I was stopped by the babushka there because at first she asked me for some money. She asked for 2 rubles. I gave her 10. And then she was asking for some beer. And then I said, look, I can't buy you beer. If you want, I will buy you bread, but I don't really want to buy you alcohol. And she said that I can buy non-alcoholic beer for her. So I'm actually going to go inside this shop right now and I'll buy something for the babushka. Also because she said that she can then help me find a taxi to Bender, which is where I'm going next, basically.
Здравствуйте. А на другой стороне говорила, что у вас есть безалкогольное пиво. Она может пить?
Бабушка,
Да.
безалкогольное нельзя пить. И вообще нельзя пить.
Да,
Она
да.
больна.
Она спросила пиво, а я сказал, ну, если хотите, я вам куплю хлеб. Я не хочу купить
Вот
вам
и не
пиво.
надо, купи хлеб, если хочешь. Не надо ей. Пива нет.
Ага, окей. Пива нету, но я вам купил что-то другое. Так, держите. Хлеб. Так что, сказали, что пива нету.
Безалкогольного?
Нет, вообще нет. Я вам купил колбасы, как вы спросили. Так что пива не было, я вам купил кефир.
Спасибо.
Вы пьете?
Да.
Пьете кефир?
Да,
Да.
Любочка,
Да,
Спасибо.
хорошо.
Сейчас он будет ехать. Он поехал туда.
Я сейчас попробую остановить машину, а если нет, я вызову. Я думаю, что было бы проще остановить машину как такси. I'm not very lucky with taxis today. I just can't get a taxi in Transnistria for freak's sake. By the way, I bought some bread for me as well. Это вам или...
Давай сюда, не хочешь?
Не, только хотел чуть-чуть.
Слышишь,
Хорошо.
дай еще хоть 10 рублей на завтра на хлебушек.
Мне деньги надо, потому что у меня не очень много из ваших. Их надо менять. Но я вам благодарю.
Ничего,
До свидания.
спасибо.
Будьте здоровы.
Давай, спасибо.
Right, so I was able to find a taxi indeed, and I was just thinking now that just because, I mean, with all the misfortunes that we've had today, it's already past 1 o'clock, so we don't have that much time, so I think I'm going straight to Bender on this taxi.
Родом из этого поселка?
Да,
А сколько вам лет, если можно?
26.
Мне тоже, поэтому мне интересно. Как 26-летний человек здесь? Нормально? Нравится?
В принципе, да. Мы сельские люди, нам много не надо.
Вы по национальности кто?
Вообще, как бы русский.
Русский?
Да, в паспорте написано молдаван, молдавский язык не знаю. Есть тут у людей по 3, по 4 паспорта, у некоторых и по 5. Приднестровский, российский, молдавский, украинский, кто-то себе там болгарский, румынский делает.
Вау, боже мой. Значит, когда они путешествуют, они могут использовать любой паспорт и какой удобнее. Они могут сказать, что они из любой страны.
So the guy was just telling me that people here can, or rather most of the time, do have more than one passport. So it's mostly Russian passports and Ukrainian passports and Moldovan passports that people can have at the same time. So whenever they need to get into a country, they can use a certain passport. They go to another country and they'll use another one. So they can literally say they come from whatever country they wish to come from. People in Transnistria are literally like human VPNs.
Спасибо вам большое. До свидания.
I got dropped off at the station here in Bender, but not the bus station, but the train station instead, which is now completely deserted because I think the last train in and out of Transnistria was running in 2019. Through Bender you would have all sorts of trains passing by, going from Chisinau all the way to Moscow, a 24-hour train ride through Ukraine into Russia from Moldova. In Soviet times you would have trains going from Chisinau to Simferopol in Crimea, again through proper Ukraine. Chisinau was basically one of the westernmost outposts of the Soviet Union, and from there you would have trains going as eastwards as freaking Vladivostok probably. And it's exactly those kinds of trains that used to pass through the railway station of Bender, just 45 minutes north of Chisinau, back when obviously there was no border control between Moldova proper and Transnistria. Being around the old train wagons of the train station of Bender was very cool, but hanging around the bus station of Bender should have been even cooler probably. So I decided to make my way to the bus station instead, and while I was walking around the lit streets of Bender, I came across a statue of, you guessed it, Vladimir Lenin. When I stopped to take a few pictures for my Instagram, some guy approached me and, very randomly, he offered to be my guide for my day in Bender.
Вы откуда?
Везде Ленин у вас, да?
Везде.
Я из Италии. Да, о.
Бонжур.
Buongiorno.
Там есть памятник Пушкину.
Пушкина? Ага, ага.
Ну, идемте, проведу.
Окей, окей.
Я Андрей.
Давиде.
Давиде. Да, не вопрос, давай. Я сейчас полностью свободный, я сейчас уже с работы, так что я тебя могу провести.
О, спасибо вам, из милиции, потому что вы работаете в милиции
Да,
здесь?
я работаю в милиции, но я не милиционер. Я гражданский.
Okay guys, that's this guy who came up to me and said, or rather offered, to take me all the way to this Pushkin monument right here. This Pushkin monument that is here in the center of Bender. And it's quite interesting, right? Although I feel a bit weird walking around with some guy from the police office here in town, but it looks like he doesn't really mind that I'm walking around with a camera. So it looks like it's all good.
Что еще не видел?
В Дом культуры поедем, потому что я был, знаете где, в Kitskane. Я хотел зайти в Kitskane, в Дом культуры тоже, но сказали, что делают ремонт, и нельзя.
Ну, бывает жизнь огорчение, ну что ты тут поделаешь?
So with this guy that I just met, we are going all the way to the Dom Culture of this town, and the reason why I want to go there, even though I told him that the main goal for today, or rather for my time here in Bender, is obviously the bus station because of all... Sorry guys, I'm just looking down here because I want to make sure that I don't trip. But basically, even though I told this guy that my main goal is the bus station for the reasons that I told you about earlier today, I still want to go and visit the Dom Culture, the House of Culture, before I eventually go to the bus station. I just want to see if it's possible for me to go inside, just because I didn't get to do that in the previous village. At this point, while walking around the streets of Bender, we randomly bumped into who I was told was the biggest celebrity of the town of Bender, who, by any chance, happened to be an acquaintance of my guide, Andrei.
Друг из Италии.
Да? А ты не там видел, как я пою?
Не видишь. Не надо, Олежка, не
По
надо.
интернету.
Не надо,
А вы
Олежка.
певец?
Да.
Да, он звезда города.
А что можете петь?
Все захват. Я
Всё?
тебе песню.
За отдельную плату, правда.
Тогда я сейчас мне.
Сколько?
Тогда я тебе залку свою.
Эй, Олежка, ну ради...
И ты тоже давай.
Нет. Ну с гостя ты
Ну давай,
чё?
хорошо.
А?
Вот. Все в округе говорят, что живу без шика я, что не летаю за моря и не трачу денег зря. Могу до неба достать и дотянуться рукой, если любовь свою сдать. Это так легко, ох, да деньги. Это так легко.
That was hilarious. We just found the star of Bender. Apparently he was just some random guy that my guide for today here in Bender just happened to be acquaintance with, really?
Вот такая вот мозаика у нас.
О, вау, есть мозаика там. Что такое? У нас просто нету. Что? Что такое Дом культуры?
Ну, что такое культура, знаешь?
Ну да.
Дом культуры – это центр всей культуры. То есть здесь вот там вот зал, сцена, там спектакли идут, концерты разные. Ну, все, что связано с культурой.
Это как театр?
Да, это как театр.
So you guys can see here that they're currently having some rehearsal. Can you guys imagine that throughout the years, this might very well be the first time that I ever enter a Dom Culture, a house of culture of this kind. Alright guys, after our visit to the House of Culture of Bender, finally we managed to get into at least one House of Culture here in Transnistria. Rejoice! Now it's time for the final step of the journey, which is the bus station. I feel like something is off because I'm starting to think that the forum where people were recommending to go and visit the bus station, the Soviet building of the bus station in Bender, I think that might have been a bit outdated because I came all the way to the coordinates of the place where I should have found the bus station, and there's a freaking Italian clothing shop? What the heck? I really don't understand this bit, because it's like, I mean, there's no McDonald's, there's no KFC, there's no Burger King, there isn't anything Western at all when it comes to businesses and brands here in Pridnistrovie, and there's a freaking Italian clothing shop, Piazza Italia. If you've actually ever been to Italy, 100% surely you have seen this shop somewhere. Where's my Soviet bus station? This must be like the shadiest Italian business. Who the hell does business in Pridnistrovia? Well, Piazza Italia, it says Одежда для всей семьи. Clothes for the entire family. Let's actually go inside and have a look and see if there's anything still left from the times where this building used to be a bus station.
А это был вход для вокзала?
Да, здесь он двухсторонний был. Отсюда и оттуда был вход на вокзал. Эта мозаика именно осталась еще с прежних времен.
О.
Когда был вокзал.
Здравствуйте.
Вот там вот кассы были. Стояли кассы.
Касса автовокзала. Ну,
На втором этаже столовая была.
мне просто непонятно, потому что у нас в Италии есть Piazza Italia, но у вас другие западные бизнесов нету, только это. Ну да. You guys can still see the mosaics of the Soviet bus station. I would like to actually go and have a look from up close, but it says that входа нет, so I'm actually wondering if that's for everybody, or if maybe if I ask please, they will let me go upstairs. А там входа нет, действительно входа нет. По лестнице, там написано входа нет.
Можете подняться?
Можно? Спасибо. Dang, this is pretty cool. So imagine when people back in the day needed to get some bus to, I don't know, bumfuck nowhere in the Moldovan SSSR, they would come here, they would get a bus ticket from where you've got the cabins over there, and then once they got the ticket, they would climb up these stairs, past these mosaics here, and they would have their waiting room in one of these rooms right here. This definitely does not look like a Soviet bus station these days, right? This is what a typical Soviet bus station looks like in Pridnistrovie in 2022. It still says here, Lenin, as you guys can see. Ну, хорошо, это все. Guys, thanks a lot. Ну, спасибо большое, что маленькую ну, не маленькую даже, большую экскурсию, я сказал бы.
В крепость, если ты захочешь.
Думаю, завтра. This video was just so random, because if you think about it, the very first thing that I said when I started this video was, let's go and visit a bus station in Pridnistrovie. But I really appreciated you guys coming with me, so I'll see you next time. Cheers! Thank you! Bye!